for me, this whole series is about awakening and integrating. I call the deepest aspect of that which never changes. Let's first clarify that we're speaking of consciousness, pure consciousness. And consciousness has two aspects, right? Well, it has billions of aspects, but principles, stillness, movement. It's always, always the case that you couldn't know what was moving unless you were aware. So whether you're aware of being aware or not, you're still aware, because that's your very nature. And I'm calling pure awareness as being the unchanging. Movement is also unchanging, but it's taking billions of forms and expressions. But what never changes is just constant, 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 unchanging. Is this. So in awakening, first the awakening, we wake up out of this dream of taking oneself and others to be the image on the screen, to be the image that you've participated in creating. You wake up out of the identification with this image and realize that what you are looks through every pair of eyes and is unchanging, absolute awareness. Well, to put it in those words, to say that's what you are, I'm using words. What you are is so much more than any words can ever express. So if we look at it, if we look at the masculine aspect being unchanging awareness, and out of pure unmanifest deep no thingness, where there is nothing anymore, there is just what you go through the void, and there is no thing at all before all of creation. Then there comes pure potential. And out of that, an explosion of energy, or whatever you want to call it, whatever, taking form. She, I'm calling that she. Everything that moves, all the forms, this body, all the emotional play, energy, all of that, I'm calling she. So when this series was suggested to me, you know, the only thing that for me, what is lived here is this love affair of what I call godliness, making love with itself through form. And it is these aspects in a constant which don't need to be called male and female, don't need to be called anything. And yet, by naming it, it's like this cup doesn't need to be called anything. And yet, we wouldn't know what we were talking about if we didn't call it something. And through naming and bringing this really up to the surface of our lived expression in our life as on this human level, those qualities that come from the deep masculine, feminine aspects, those qualities coming up into your living as a person in this play, those qualities coming up and being integrated in your awakeness, awakened beingness, take a whole new form than they did when you thought that you were a girl and you were a boy. Take a whole new form. So the integration of the divine aspects into life is, from my point of view, now there are many models and there are many ways that this is being spoken of, but from my point of view, that the real integration of these principles is not really possible without awakening. For as long as there is a taking to be a separation in anywhere, in anything, for as long as there is an identification with being a woman and playing this out with a man, without the realization and the recognition of oneness, and I don't mean oneness as an idea or an understanding, I mean really, truly, even one is too many. And yeah, when we come to the this level of being in this body, in this life, showing up, this shows up in a female body, yeah, we have definitely a lot of differences in the body, in the brain, etc. Yeah? But it doesn't mean that if you are in a female body that you are going to be living more from the feminine principles. So this is all, so this is an exploration as well as an awakening. First beginning, from my point of view, it must begin from clarifying what we actually mean. Who do we take ourselves to be before we start trying to become the divine feminine or become the divine masculine? First of all, know what is here already in the deepest level. And then, of course, coming to the surface level of this life experience, there are going to be many unintegrated aspects, conditionings, a covering, all kinds of whatever. But when we're coming from this knowing, is easier, much, much easier to begin to come into these levels in a whole new way. without somebody trying to become something.